A 31-year-old hiker viciously mauled by an alligator while swimming in a Florida state forest on a gorgeous sunny afternoon, as her boyfriend desperately tried to wrench her from the gator's jaws, urging paramedics to rush to the scene to save his lover. Who was Brittany Clark, the hiker who was fatally dismembered by a giant 13-foot gator in the Econlockhatchee River? Here's what you need to know. A relaxing hike turned tragic on June 28th after a Florida woman was fatally attacked by a massive 13-foot alligator in a devastating surprise attack. The victim, 31-year-old Brittany Clark, was reportedly swimming with her boyfriend and best friend in the Econlockhatchee River at Little Big Econ State Forest, nearly 30 miles inland, when the monstrous gator suddenly lunged from the water and locked its toothy maw on her, ripping her arm completely off.
Gator suddenly attacked. The alligator ended up ripping one of her arms off and tried to take the other one. Her boyfriend attempted to grab her and was able to pull her away and back onto shore and call 911. During the emergency call, which I am going to play audio from at the end of this, dispatchers were told that the injuries were extremely severe, and while she was bleeding heavily, she was still alert and she was still alive and breathing. Emergency crews ended up finding the group by this body of water. They transported Brittany to a hospital, but she ultimately passed away during transport. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission said that there is no evidence that the alligator was provoked.
Do people not understand that you do not mess with the alligators in Florida? I don't know if you guys have heard the story of the girl who just died a couple days ago. She was out hiking with her boyfriend and friend. She decided to take a dip in the pool in the water after they were hiking to cool off. Unfortunately, an alligator grabbed her. They tried, they couldn't save her. She unfortunately passed away on the way to the hospital, which is very sad. And as someone who grew up in Florida, I grew up in Orlando. Florida in general is known as swamp country, especially in the summer. It is peak time. They were warned that there were alligators in that water. A fellow hiker had warned them, do not go in there. The waters were murky. First of all, murky waters in Florida, red flag, red flag, red flag. They were warned to not go in the water by a fellow hiker, and she chose to ignore the warning from the hiker. Went to go dip her foot in the pool. It was only 3 feet, but if you know anything about alligators in Florida water, it does not matter how deep or shallow the water is, they are hungry. And unfortunately, the alligator grabbed a hold. They called 911. They tried to save her, just could not. Alligators are strong fucking animals. And unfortunately, she passed away on the way to the hospital. They did get her out of the water, but it was not looking good. And I'm just thinking, when someone warns you, do not go in the water because there are swarms of alligators. Why would you ignore that? Is critical thinking not a thing anymore? And listen, this is not to say that it was the woman's fault, but we have to understand that if you choose to go after something, or not go after something, to do something after you've been warned, there are consequences. Like when you were a kid and your parents told you not to touch the stove, it was hot, and you touched the stove, it was hot, and you burned yourself and you got a 3rd-degree burn, you didn't listen. You were reaping the consequences of that. And as someone who just, I don't know, I'm seeing there were so many alligator attacks in the last, I think, week alone in Florida. It seems to be high season. And while I don't live there anymore, I live in New York right now. I was just rewatching this story and hearing about the fact that someone warned them, and she still chose to go in the water. To me, that screams we don't have any critical thinking skills. Alligators are animals that are not to be played with. If you've ever seen any videos of alligators, when they grab onto their prey, I'm sorry, it is game over. It is game over. When you grow up in Florida, they teach you things like if you're ever being chased by an alligator, you run zigzag, not straight. You do not go into the waters for any reason. If it is not a pool, if it's not a lake that is made for swimming, you do not go in the water. I don't know. I feel for her family, but also we have to understand that two things can exist at once. We can feel sorry that she lost her life, but also understand that she chose to go in the water after being warned. And I don't know, we gotta have some critical thinking skills because this is not something to be played with. Alligators are freaking serious, especially it is high season. They are out, they are hungry, they are dangerous animals. Yeah, I just had to make a video on this because I grew up in Florida and it's like you do not touch those waters.
Hello everyone, welcome to Belle's Take. My name is Belle. Now to today's story. Sadly, it's a tragedy. This is one of those stories that leaves you speechless. A woman reportedly entered a pond known to have alligators, despite repeated warnings that the water was unsafe. Witnesses say people tried to discourage her, but she chose to go in anyway. What happened next was tragic.
Video shows a deputy running to the riverbank moments after Clark was attacked while swimming with her boyfriend in the Econ-Lockhatchee River. A 911 caller reported that Clark had suffered catastrophic injuries, saying one of her arms had been completely torn off. The footage ends with the deputy pulling out a tourniquet as Clark and her boyfriend remain on the shore.
Did you hear about that girl that was attacked by an alligator in Florida? Hey, yeah, I did. Apparently she's 31-year-old Brittany Clark. What happened? So Brittany was out on a hike with her boyfriend and a friend when she decided to take a swim in shallow water, and that's when the alligator attack happened. Doesn't she realize that you're not supposed to go swimming in the waters in Florida? Yeah, and they supposedly even passed by a gentleman who warned them not to go swimming in the water because of the amount of alligators that are in there. Oh my gosh, so then she got in the water. What happened next? Well, the attack happened almost instantly, and the boyfriend tried pulling her out, and when they got Brittany out of the water, she unfortunately passed away on the way to the hospital due to her injuries. And I also heard the dad, Robert Clark, made a statement saying that the community, Fish and Game should do something about removing those alligators from the area. Yeah, and while I understand from a father's standpoint that you would want the alligators removed because they were the ones that took your daughter away from us, but you should not be swimming in the water in the first place, and it is their habitat. Honestly, be so.
The incident has sparked a wave of reactions online, with many expressing heartbreak, while also reminding others that warning signs are there for a reason. Wild animals are unpredictable, and no swim or adventure is worth risking your life. It's a heartbreaking reminder to always respect nature. Take safety warnings seriously, and never underestimate dangers that may not be visible from the shore.
One woman is killed after she was bitten while swimming in a river.
Okay, setting aside the stupidity of swimming in a river like this in the state of Florida. It's murky, you can't see what's in there. And it only takes about an iota of common sense to know that there are alligators potentially in a river like this. Worsened by the fact that you can't see them. This does not even look like a desirable river to swim in. There are literally rivers like this that you can swim in the state of Florida. Clear, you can see what's going on in the water. Alligators aside, this looks like the type of river you might go in and potentially come out covered in leeches or step on glass. This does not even look like a desirable river to swim in at all.
This tragedy is a painful reminder that nature demands our respect. Warning signs and safety advice are here to protect our lives, not to take away our freedom. Sometimes it only takes one decision and everything changes forever. Our thoughts are with her family, friends, and everyone affected by this heartbreaking loss. If there's one lesson to take from this story, it's this: never underestimate the dangers of wild animals. We have come to the end of today's video. Thank you for your time. Please subscribe and engage with the video so YouTube pushes it to a larger audience. See you in the next one. Bye.